Welcome everybody to another Inside the Circle podcast. Today we're doing the Women's Group 1 preview episode with Simon, myself and Alan. Let's see how it goes. Hi everyone and welcome back to another episode of Inside the Circle. Today it's another preview episode. This time it is Women's Group A. And once again we only have one person for the job to introduce it all. It is Simon Mason.
Looking at Women's Pool A, unfortunately it's very hard to see beyond the Netherlands taking top spot in that pool. The Netherlands women so dominant over the course of the last 11 years of recent statistics on the FIH platforms. They've only lost 12 games in 11 years. 4 of those against Argentina, who sit in Pool B. So if those two teams were to meet, the only time they can meet is in the final if we go on current rankings. So that'd be interesting to see if it gets to that point, but an incredible record from the Netherlands. 254 games played in recent times, 217 wins. Genuinely incomparable in world hockey statistical terms. Obviously they have Janssen on the penalty corners, which is dangerous for any opponent, but you've got to look at the quality of someone like a Xander Vaard in midfield, who is the maestro who's conducting all of the elements, and can find someone like a personal favourite of mine, of Felice Albers, who plays so athletic, so quick around the outsides, will look to use her pace and her reach and her athleticism to create opportunities. But it's such a multifaceted team. That's why I really genuinely at this moment, having seen their form in the Pro League, struggle to see anybody competing against them. But the Olympics is obviously this special thing, and it only takes one little lapse of concentration and a bit of frustration from the Netherlands, and then it will be a close loss if they were to lose. They would go down by 1 goal maybe, but right now on the form they're in, it's very difficult to see past them as Olympic champions for this competition, but you just never know. Also in the pool, top towards the rankings, you've got Germany ranked number 3 in the world coming into this competition. Can they find Stappenhorst enough up front? That'll be really interesting to see. They can get Kira Horn going down the right hand side and finding around the spaces around the back. Yes, that's exceptional from them. They've got that pace, and then you're trying to look for those midfield triangles as they link together of a Michiel with Oruz, who I think is outstanding, kind of playing in the back of that triangle. Maybe a Lorenz also in that midfield space. How they link together. Have they got enough power on penalty corners? Not consistently over the last 6 months, but again, you only need a couple to step up, miss the number 1 runner, find the bottom corners, and suddenly you're right in it. Belgium, I think they're the disruptors. They've done so well. They are the last team to have beaten the Netherlands. Suddenly they now understand what their full press that they've been trying to build up over the last 18-24 months means. They are much better when they're on the front foot, when they step forwards, they put the pressure on opponents, they stifle them and stop the oxygen to them and not allow the creativity. The problem for them is when they get pinned at the back. Their own distribution, they can get a little bit deep. They're going to need Blockmans to play really well. She's been in form as opposed to Barbara Nellen, who I don't think has been. She needs to show her experience, step forwards and dominate the midfield spaces. Can she link up with Gurnias, who has been playing really well? She's looked energised, she's looked positive. And then my favourite player from world hockey, women's world hockey at the moment, which is Charlotte Engelbert. Can she then bring her skill set to the fore in the Olympic Games? Can she show why she is one of the top half dozen players in the world consistently over the course of the last 12 months? Can she deliver on the world stage? Those 3 teams, I would be so surprised if they weren't the top 3 teams in Women's Pool A. But then the 4th place is the real interesting dilemma. You've got Japan, you've got China, you've got France. France, I'm afraid you have to put down as rank outsiders. 20th in the world. You've got a situation where they've got no meaningful results against any of the leading teams in the world. They're going to have to rely on their goalkeeper. They've got a 26-year-old with 26 caps, Lucy Ehrman, who comes in and she's going to be very busy. Can she find a level of play that then links in with the more experienced Lardeur, who will be important to them, the captain Pontio? Can they hold a relatively inexperienced team together at times in the face of high quality opponents? Probably not. It's a home games and they'll be very proud, but they'll have to play out their skins to come anywhere else other than last in that pool. Then you've got this really interesting Asian conundrum, Japan and China. China with that Pro League experience, coming into it ranked 8th. You've got Gu Bingfeng, who from the Pro League, their highest goal scorer, Ma Ning, who will support that. Everybody knows how Alison Annan has taken that side and melded it into this high quality unit that can deliver. But can they get the balance between their aggressive play on the pitch, and the one thing that I think lets them down is their ability to transfer that into how they deal with the video umpire. They quite often are reticent to appeal. They're reticent to ask for decisions that they might feel and know are correct. If they can get that right, I know it sounds very technical, but that's going to make a massive difference to them, because then they'll ask about the big decisions. They'll get maybe 5 or 10% swing in what they are, and then they'll come out of it with some either big goals scored or less goals conceded, and that could be the difference. But standing in their way will be Japan. Historically, 7 wins from 15 games against China, and I think these two teams will be, one of these two will take that 4th place spot. They've got a decent record. They've got senior pros who step into it, so 3 or 4 of those players are going to be hugely important. You've got Yuri and Hazuki Nagai, who together they're more experienced players. They're going to have to, again, meld the less experienced players around them. Jude Menezes, their coach, has developed the team brilliantly, and they'll be up there. They'll be confident. They'll be wanting to succeed. Can they break through it with that one meaningful game against China? Can they win that? Can they win that and take that 4th place spot? Will they steal a point elsewhere? Maybe. If Belgium or Germany have a bad day, then possibly, but that'll be what it is. Get the win against France, get a point somewhere else, and look at that one game against China, as China will look to Japan. Can they progress from that? So women's Pool A, top 3 teams I think are pretty much set. It'll be the 4th place that will be really, really interesting.
Thanks, Simon. Do we really need to play this group? We know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Do you think so?
Yeah. I mean,
it's a Dutch win.
It's a Dutch coming first. They're just so unbelievably strong. Years of dominance. They've got what can only be described as the perfect hockey team and the perfect style of play. It's very difficult to see any other way going for them. The Germans, like Sam was saying, the consistency of scoring goals is probably what's letting them down in being that very close second team.
Never write them off.
No, they're Germans. You never write them off. It's just scoring goals for them can be sometimes difficult. Their defensive shape, their build-up play is fantastic through the players that Simon was saying. I just think it's that last touch, that final third is where they're probably letting themselves down. And look, the Belgian women I can only admire because they're a relatively young hockey nation. They have just got better and better as each big tournament has come through. And I think if this tournament's not their tournament, I'm really excited to see what the next one's going to be for them.
I think they'll be fine. I think they'll go through. I
They'll
mean, they're
be
very
through
much
fine,
following
yes.
the same route as the men.
Yes.
I mean, there's that slow progress and just picking things off, and then all of a sudden, whoa, here's Belgium.
Yes, absolutely. And they're only exciting to watch because of that, I think. I think it'll be an interesting watch whenever they play.
I think the French are going to struggle.
Yeah.
I think I think there's another French goalkeeper. The two goalkeepers should have a chat.
Yeah.
I think Lucy's going to have a really, really hard game. Or a hard tournament. She's going to be busy, but I just don't think it's going to work as a host nation for them.
Unfortunately not.
No. She's going to be picking the ball out of the net a few times, I think.
Yeah.
I hope not, because I think that mentally is quite tough on people. But again, as a goalkeeper, if you turn it the other way around and go, well, look, I've had a great tournament because I've been busy.
Yes,
true.
true.
Take the Dutch keeper, do they really touch the ball that much? And, it also shows the strength of them mentally just to stay in a game when they're just not being tested. But the game's that quick nowadays. It's the involvement is end-to-end stuff, really.
It is, and it can be. And hopefully, Herner Obugeir might do well. It would be great to see.
Yeah.
Just don't know what it's actually going to be like.
I hope she has a good tournament.
Yes.
Just for that
mental side of things. Yeah.
Being involved in it.
Absolutely.
I think the big game
yes
is China-Japan on the 29th.
So.
It's basically, as Simon said, it's going to sort out who's going to come fourth, and that's no disrespect to the rest of the guys below them. I think China, to be honest. I think China is going to be the
I think it's going to be their experience.
yeah, very much so. I mean, Japan have proved it. They hosted it last time, and they've qualified for this one. But I still think that's just going to be such a crunch match. I think it's the second match on the day, so
Yeah.
it gets that big crunch match on, and then after that, whoever wins is just trying to pick another couple of points off. The loser is probably really going to struggle against the bigger teams.
Yeah, I think China, exactly like you said, are probably the slight favourite on it. It helps that they've got the ex Dutch coach, Alison Annan. She's made such a difference, especially in their pro league, keeping them going, making them a really solid team that threatens every so often. But they've been a very solid team, and she's only doing better and better with them. So it'll be interesting to see how they get on with this tournament.
Yeah. I mean, Simon talked about penalty corners and short corners and different things they got there and this. It makes me wonder, on an umpiring side of things, a bit like the rugby, should we start to involve that third official, the referral referee, and just umpire and just get them involved more in just chirping in the ear and going, that was a foot, that was this.
Yes.
It might, we've changed the rules so much to keep the game going quickly, and then we've got these stops. Now, I'm not saying we don't have referrals, because it is critical, because the player, will see it totally differently than anything else. But why not let that umpire get involved, chirp in the ear? We're all wired up nowadays, and say, look, there was a foot back there, or even just looking at penalty corners square on. It would stop a number of the referrals and the time that's wasted.
Yes.
And people think that the referrals are going, the umpires missed that, the umpires missed that. The game is so quick, that these guys cannot, and we have to use the technology to allow them to get the right results. I think we're getting the right results. What I'm trying to say is trying to keep the momentum in the game going, that if somebody's seen something, then just say, right, it's a free out.
Absolutely. It's that question of, as an umpire, you're running to try and keep up with the play. You're not sure if there was been a foot back there, so even just that, can you double check that for me? Let the game go on.
Yeah.
The third umpire goes, it actually was a foot, bring it back. We can stop the game, move back. Everyone will be happy with that, opposed to one team going, they've just scored because centre back over there's made a great football clearance.
Yeah. I just think it would keep the game going, and at least keep the umpires not, because the umpires will go, I didn't see anything there, and they take the referral. But if the other guy goes, look, I'm watching it, it was a foot, play on, it wasn't a foot, etc., etc. I think it's time, it'll maybe after the Olympics, when they look at things, to maybe try to see if we can
enhance it a bit.
Yeah, I don't
keep it easy.
Yes, but I think the umpires are at the top of their game.
Yes.
And I'm not saying that they're not good. I'm just saying, how can we get them even better, and how can we get the game being officiated even better and quicker? Because we have changed rules so much for the best, and just to keep the thing moving. I mean, just look at football and VAR. Football will not ask for any assistance, don't want to copy anybody, and they're just so behind the times on it that all other sports have embraced it a bit better and have gone, oh, they're doing that, and borrowed and taken the same stuff.
And it's worked well, so it can only benefit the sport even better if a couple of changes here and there. But look, it'll be interesting to see how it actually gets on during the games, and what teams are going to do for the referrals, how umpires are going to do it. It'll be interesting to see.
Sure. Okay, quiz time.
Yes.
You ready for this one?
Nope.
Okay. When were the women's hockey brought into the Olympics first? Which Olympic Games? What year?
Now
the men were 1908.
So the men were 1908. So the women must be 1928.
Oh no. 1980.
Oh right, so it's recent.
Very recent. And for a bonus point, and Simon did give the answer in his brief there, if you were listening, Zimbabwe.
Was where it first appeared?
No, they won it.
They were the first winners.
They were the first winners, and they beat the Czech Republic.
Well, that was an interesting match.
Indeed. Right.
Guys, as always, let us know in the comments Who do you think, what teams are going to do well? What do you want to see in this group? It's going to be interesting for some elements, might be slightly less interesting for other elements. But as always, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Take care.